Hey, everybody, and welcome to Internet Roundup, your internet clubhouse on the web. I'm Chuck, and this is Janine the Giant Slayer. And we do the Stuff You Should Know podcast, and then once a week we round up the internet to bring you fun and entertaining items.
So consider the internet rounded up at the end of this episode.
These two things and nothing else
that
you need to know about. First up, we have Port Authority bus terminal toilets.
That's a New York thing?
Yeah, have you ever been to the Port Authority?
No.
It's gross.
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah, I used to go there when I lived in New Jersey. I would take the bus into the city and not the train sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
And John Oliver of HBO's show Last Week Tonight has called it the single worst place on planet Earth.
He's apparently not alone.
No, he's not.
Failed Architecture said that it was a hall of unfathomable nightmares.
Yes, and then a Yelp reviewer. I love that they just pulled this one Yelp reviewer. Quote, "If I die and go to hell, comma, I think it might resemble this."
Yeah.
End of quote. It's a pretty gross place. It's just not been kept up well.
I have the impression.
And it's just sort of famous for being not the kind of place you want to be caught having to go to the potty.
Because you will catch something from doing that, right?
Maybe.
I would guess.
At the very least, it's gross and disgusting.
Gotcha.
But no more on the second floor because they're putting a lot of money into upgrading their facilities, as it were.
$90 million?
Is that the total program cost?
So, yeah, for the whole for the quality of commute program, it's $90 million. But for 16 bathrooms, they're spending $13 million, which is $812,500 each.
That's a lot of money.
It is. I mean, like that's a significant amount of money. Apparently, it's being well spent because the New York Times, who we got this article from, they got some reviews from people who were using the bathrooms, and they said it's good stuff.
Yeah, here's one review, anonymous review. Black, shiny, granity sink.
Mm-hmm.
Arched faucets by Sloan.
Nice.
Tasteful slate gray and powder gray tiles.
Tasteful in the Port Authority bus terminal.
Yeah, they call it a contemporary and textured surfaces. They improve the toilets. They improve the partitions.
Textured surfaces, though, you still shouldn't touch anything.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
You can just imagine the texture.
Right.
But the timetable right now is trying to be sped up a bit because they were quoted at 3 more years. And then the chairman of the board of commissioners said, you know what, the George Washington Bridge was completed in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
Surely we can build some bathrooms quicker than that.
Right. Not even build, renovate. Yeah,
good point. I mean, it's a soup to nuts renovation, though. But I've done a bathroom, and it didn't take that long.
No.
So $812,000 to improve your poopy experience. Let me just put on my hat.
It looks great.
Thank you.
So, Chuck, what's up next?
You found this, and I had never heard of this. The grave of the mad trapper of Rat River.
Yeah, this is basically, I just went on Atlas Obscura and went, this one.
Yeah.
Like everything on that site is just so interesting.
So the story here is about one Albert Johnson, probably an alias, Northwest Territory of Canada, 1931. Crazy Albert Johnson moves in a cabin, builds a cabin near the woods near Rat River, and keeps to himself. But apparently people started complaining that their animal traps were being messed with. So they said, I bet it's old crazy Albert.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
That's not keeping to yourself if you mess with other trappers' animal traps.
No.
And I imagine in the Northwest Territory, the Northern Territory, somewhere in Canada along the Rat River, in 1931, you mess with somebody's traps, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, that's probably a fireable offense. And
right.
I mean fireable.
Right. You would think so. But this is Canada, so rather than carry out any vigilante justice, they went and complained to the Mounties. So the Mounties showed up, and they said, hey, dude, we don't know who you are. We think that Albert Johnson deserves scare quotes around it because we think this is an alias.
Yeah.
And we want you to knock off messing with people's traps. And from this Atlas Obscura article, I get the impression that while the Mountie was talking to him, Albert Johnson just pretended like the guy wasn't even there.
Yeah, it said he refused to acknowledge the officer. Yeah. So because they're Mounties, they said, like, all right, well, they left.
They tipped their hat and said, good day to you.
They came back and said, wait a minute, we didn't get anywhere.
Right.
Maybe we should go back. They went back, and this second time, things got a little serious.
Yeah.
He started shooting at the Mounties.
Yeah, through his door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's acknowledging their presence, but in all the wrong ways.
That's right.
The Mounties left again, which is
right.
sensible. This is a sensible thing, because in America, it'd be like, what are you doing? And then send in like 500 guys into the house and just destroy it.
Yeah, even in 1931, that's what they would have done in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. So the Mounties instead left and then came back with dynamite and blew his house up, apparently with him inside. That's a little nuts.
It's a little crazy, but I guess they felt like after being shot at, they had every right to dynamite him out.
Sure.
But,
so they did.
That wasn't it, though, because he got out of there. They chased him through the wilderness for a week, and then he single-handedly scaled a cliff and disappeared.
Yeah.
So they got a plane.
And this is the winner, from what I understand.
Yeah, they got a plane, and then they found him 150 miles away, and they shot him dead.
Yep, they shot him dead. 150 miles. He made it in 40 days in this frozen territory in Canada. No one knows how. No one knows who he was.
Yeah, that's the great mystery still of what he was doing even.
Right. They had no idea where he came from.
Yeah.
Just nobody knows. And the only marker that this man was ever alive is in the little town of Aklavik. And apparently there's like a little sign that tells his story. And that's it. Like, just still, no one has any idea who this dude was and what his jam was.
That's right.
Yep. But they call him the Mad Trapper of Rat River. Atlas Obscura.
I was about to say, we salute you, sir, but he was shooting at Mounties.
Yeah, he
It's
sounds
not
like
very
kind of
cool.
a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is it. The construction has started, as you can hear. So that means it is time for us to go put on our hard hats and mount the drill.
Yeah.
So we will see you next week on Internet Roundup.
Yeah.